homie.
What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and it is time, now that we are in the new year, 2022, to discuss the top strong women of 2021. So first, let's talk about how my algorithm, my block's strongest algorithm that continues to get more and more sophisticated, actually works. And we'll take an example today of someone just in the middle of the list, randomly chosen. We'll say Corey Butler. And so Corey Butler came out in 84th place, and here are the numbers that back that up. Now, before you say, wait, she should be higher than that, I tracked 247 strong women this year, so that's actually a really good placing when you consider that large of a field. I'll guarantee you I haven't seen any other YouTuber give you this level of detail for strong women in the US and internationally. I want to give you all my math, all the secret sauce of how I figured it out, and at the same time bring attention to all of the strong women that I was able to track, not just top 10s and things like that you'll see in other places. So that being said, let's get into it. Corey Butler has a points rating of 46.94. So how did we come up with that? Well, what we do is we go over to where I have all the data for all the strong women, and we can filter to Corey Butler and see which shows I have actually tracked for her. And I do this all in Excel, right? So you have World's Ultimate Strong Woman Dubai, America's Strongest Woman, and the Rainier Classic. And you can see here an event-by-event breakdown of the points earned out of the possible points for Corey in every event of all the competitions I was able to track for her. Then I get a percentage to the max, so 4 out of 8 points would be 50%. And if it's what's considered a world level contest like AWESEOME Dubai is or OSG is, for example, your multiplier is 1. You get as many points as you earn. If it's something lesser than that, like America's Strongest Woman would be considered a national competition, I use a multiplier. National gets a 0.8 and brings it down a bit so that we basically take all of these women's points and equilibrate them as if they were contested at a world level. So we're looking at an apples to apples comparison. And so for women that didn't compete at any world contest, they'll have all multipliers that bring their points down a bit. And this is kind of the age-old thing with Shane Flowers, for example, and Desmond Gahan when they had competed at the world level for the first time, and you had to account for that to say, well, even though they did really well at Atlas Stones, it wasn't against this level of guys, so you have to equilibrate it mathematically somehow, and that's what the multiplier is. So if you take all that into account, you go into this pivot table. And so in the pivot table, you could look up Corey here, and you would see that her percentage across all of her contests comes out to 46.94% of points earned out of points possible. That's phase 1. Then you have phase 2. So on top of that, points earned out of points possible really tells you who's the most dangerous at any given time at any given event. But then you have to bring into the discussion the accomplishments over time of the whole year. So who competed in more contests and who defeated more people in those contests, who set world records, things like that. So I bring all of those pieces into the puzzle to get a total picture of the ranking of these 247 strong women for the year. So that being said, what is this placing bonus? Well, then the way I get that is I go into this tab, my women's placings data, and if we look up Corey here, you'll see the first tab was points earned out of points possible. Now, this tab is how did she place in each of those contests. So you'll see there were 3 contests, as we said before. She placed 5th out of 8 in AWESEOME Dubai, 2nd out of 6 at ASW, and 8th out of 9 at the Rainier Classic. So what happens is I give some bonus points based on that we add on at the end. So Corey gets 4 bonus points for her 5th out of 8 placing. Basically, you get points for how many people you beat, right? So in contests that have a lot of competitors like Strongman Corp Nationals or OSG, if you were near the top of the list, you're going to get a lot of credit for beating that many people. 2nd out of 6 here got her 4 points there, and the Rainier Classic got her 1.8. And again, I use the same multipliers here too, so everything's even Stevens, as they say. So if you add those things up, she should be getting 9.8 bonus points. And if we go back to our overall ratings, we'll see she got 9.8 bonus points. So what's this 8 over here, you may ask? Corey Butler also had an American record. I think it was in the axle press, overhead press. So national records get you 8 points, world records get you 10 points. And I don't know if there's a such thing as like, there must be like a continental record, a European or something like that. That would get you 9 points. So that's how Corey gets her 64.74 total points, which puts her ranked 84. So that's all the math. That's how it works. Now that you know how the algorithm is put together and understand the fact that it takes into consideration multiple facets and is very sophisticated in the way that it determines who is the best and how different strong women rank, we can take a look starting from the bottom of the list, starting off with step 1, the points earned out of points possible. And again, I'll say, I'm covering everybody I could find data on. Apologies to any of the strong women I missed or contests that you did well in that I didn't catch or whatnot. I did my best. I am pretty confident that no one else on YouTube is going to be covering 247 athletes here. So I did do my very best. I promise my intentions are honest and genuine, but here we go, and apologies if I missed any of you. So now we're going to get into that step 1 of the algorithm, which is points earned out of points possible. We'll start at the bottom of the list. And yeah, I know I'm wearing different clothes now. This is such a great big endeavor that I had to do it in pieces. The masterminds of YouTube always say, you know, don't do that. Your audience is going to know that you did it on different days. So freaking what? As long as you get the right information, what do you care what I'm wearing, right? So here we go. Heather Morgan competed Masters Middleweight at USS Nationals this year. She zeroed everything, and I didn't know if that was because of an injury or whatever, so I contemplated leaving her off the list, but then I thought she's a strong woman who's, you know, working very hard just like everybody else and deserves to have her name out there, so regardless of the circumstances, I kept her on the list. Next up is Morgan Patterson, who had a 3.95 rating after the multiplier is applied, and you can see it was 4.94 and got multiplied down a bit because Strongman Corp was a national competition, not a world competition, and you'll see that pattern being applied to everybody. So moving on up the list, next we have Karen Santamaria, who had a 4.19 rating competing at Strongman Corp Nationals. Megan Dealey was there as well as an open athlete, 5.08 on the year for her. Amanda Schaefer was also at Strongman Corp Nationals in the open class, 5.71 rating for Amanda on the year. We move on up and we have Jillian Phillips, who was at the same show, same class, 5.71 for Jillian. Miriam Rojas was a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, and you can see, again, for everybody, the breakdown of how they did in each event. Their points earned out of points possible percentage here, and then kind of what it is after the multiplier here. So a 5.9 rating for Miriam. Maggie Ault was a middleweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, and 6.42 rating for Maggie. We then have Lauren Taylor, a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 6.48 rating for her. Suhani Gandhi was at OSG this year, which was a great show, 6.58 rating for Suhani. Malin Anderson, a middleweight at OSG this year, a 6.82 rating for her on the year. Kaylin Pro was a 6.91 rating competing at Strongman Corp Nationals as a middleweight. Dee Payton was in the open class at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 6.98 rating. Allison Thorne, 7.14 on the rating, so she competed at Official Strongman Games. Jessica Wong also competed at Official Strongman Games, and for the competitors where you only see 4 events here instead of 6, that means they didn't make the final. So the last 2 events happened in the final at OSG. That's kind of how you can tell that, you know, who made it further along and who would have potentially a higher rating based on that. 7.89 for Jessica. Morgan Quimby, also 7.89, a lightweight at OSG this year. Camila Padilla competed middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals. USS Nationals had more weight classifications than a lot of the other shows, so that's why there's this under 165 disclaimer as opposed to the other middleweight class. So that's what you're seeing there, an 8 rating for Camila Padilla, and again, this is out of 100, so these are the lower scores on the list. But we'll work our way up and you see them continue to increase. Jessica Puricelli scored a 9.6. She was at America's Strongest Woman, and she had another show as well, but when I went to the score sheet, all her scores were crossed out, so I didn't count that. I think that would have boosted her up here quite a bit, but I didn't count it because I didn't know what was going on with the crossed out scoring. Marivi Barrios competed Masters at OSG this year, a 9.72 rating on the year for Marivi. Then we have Amanda McFarland, a good friend of the show. What's up, Amanda? She competed at Savage Strength Challenge 4 and Mammoth Strength Challenge, which was back last January. We are now in the new January of 2022. So a 9.75 rating for Amanda, who continues to improve show by show. We then have Crystal Sorensen, who is a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 9.9 rating on the year for Crystal. Brooke Sousa competed at America's Strongest Woman, so a 10.67 rating for Brooke. She was also at OSG, but seemed to kind of walk away at the car walk, so I don't know what was going on there, if there was maybe an injury or what have you. But if you go look her up, she has 0 on every event, but I think that's not really fair because I don't think she actually competed in every event at OSG, so I left that out. Alexis Wetherill, a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, and she is an 11.05 rating on the year. Liz Castillo, middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, so an 11.2 rating for Liz. Diana Kelly was a heavyweight at the Mammoth Strain Challenge 5 Pro-Am last January, and that is an 11.56 rating. Move on up, and we have Michaela King, lightweight under 132 at USS Nationals, and she rates 11.69 on the year. Nicole Recchia, lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, an 11.81 rating for her. And then we have the great Christina Bangman, the legendary lightweight, 11.9 rating for her. So Christina Bangman was at OSG, competed in the new 73 kilo class at OSG instead of the 64 kilo class that I would have expected her to be in, like a true lightweight. So I'm not sure why that happened, but OSG, didn't go, overwhelmingly successfully for her, but I'm sure Christina will be back to her amazing self at the next competitions. Gemma Moore, 12.04 rating. I first saw her at UK's Strongest Woman in that open class, so that was interesting because you had masters, true open competitors, and lightweights, middleweights all competing against each other, so that was incredible. You should check out UK's if you haven't yet. Amy Klickner was a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals and a 12.57 rating on the year for her. Kim Scott, a great friend of the show, so she's in the Blacklist Athletics gym over with my buddy Anthony San Lorenzo and Tiara Manthe and the whole crew there of awesome people. So Kim Scott, a great friend of the show, lightweight at OSG. I think that was her first OSG, so looking for great things to come from Kim, a 14.47 rating for her. Tyra Humphreys, Masters heavyweight at USS Nationals, 14.67. Maria Krasinska, a Masters at OSG this year, 15.28 for her. Rebecca Wyatt, a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, 15.81 rating for Rebecca. Rachel Bennett competed at the Rainier Classic, which was a great show. If you missed that one, you should try to catch it. She has a 16 rating on the year. Then you have Teal Rounds, who is a middleweight at Strongman Corporation Nationals, a 16.05 rating. We move on up the list, and we have Stephanie Fimognari, and I must say, since I've begun making this video, I actually remembered more strong women that I forgot, so the number has increased. I started off with 246 strong women I was tracking. I think I'm at 253 now, and Stephanie is one of them, so I'm finding more and more great strong women that I forgot that need to be entered here as well. So again, I'll reiterate, this is the most complete list of strong women rankings and retrospective for 2021 that I think you'll find anywhere. So Stephanie, a 16.5 rating, competing at Canada's Strongest Woman. Moving on up the list, we have Jackie Hoyle, who competed in the Strongman Corp National, 16.51 for Jackie. Olivia Dubray was a middleweight who competed also at Strongman Corp, and 17.28 rating for her. We then have Kristen Rain, who was a lightweight at Savage Strength 4 Pro-Am, Christina Bangma's show, and the Strongman Corp Nationals as well, a 17.66 rating for Kristen. Elaine Lanza was a lightweight under 132 at USS Nationals, and she has an 18.46 rating. Jules Mansfield, one of my first interviews, and really, really great interview that was. I had such a great time. You should check that one out if you haven't yet. She competed at Mammoth Strain Challenge 5, and an 18.67 rating for Jules. Next up on our list, we have Catherine Powell, who competed open at Strongman Corp Nationals and super heavyweight under 242 pounds at USS, so a 19.13 rating for Catherine. Topanga Morgan, a middleweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 20 rating for Topanga. Lauren Ryder, a middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, 20.8 rating for Lauren. Then we have Becca Bishop, who competed Masters heavyweight at USS Nationals, 21.33 rating for Becca. Julia Tomacheski, a middleweight at OSG, with a 21.67 rating there. Deandra Flores, a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 21.9 rating for Deandra. And I'll just stop for a second to point out, if you look all the way to the left of the screen, you'll see how many rows of data I have in this pivot table, and maybe you will start to appreciate the many hours of work, dozens, maybe hundreds of hours of work that have gone into putting this together for you. So hopefully you do appreciate that. And if you want to get your hands on it and play around with it yourselves, I do make this and all my other spreadsheets available on my YouTube membership. It's $4.99 a month, really inexpensive to get your hands on every spreadsheet I've ever made that literally took thousands of hours to put together. So trying to make it super affordable and tons of value for all of the great fans of my channel and all the great supporters. So thanks for that once again. Rebecca Simmons-Getman was a middleweight at Strongman Corporation Nationals, a 22.22 rating. Melanie Constantino had the same rating. She was at OSG. Heather Burgeon with the same rating as well, and she was also at OSG as a Masters. We then have Katie Feely, who was a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 22.48 rating. Randy Yarber, who I believe is Mrs. Belt Fed Strength on Instagram. They do incredible weightlifting belts that you should definitely check out if you haven't yet. She competed at Savage Strength Challenge 4 and a 22.5 rating for Randy. Ashley Bryant was a middleweight under 148 pounds at USS National and rates 24 on the year. And again, a reminder, those ratings are out of 100. So no one is going to score a perfect 100 points earned at a points possible, but we'll see how close the top of the top can get. Shane Thaxton was open at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 24.76 rating. We then have Stephanie Bisignano, who I had actually missed Canada's Strongest Woman and added that in today to kind of get her rating where it should be. She competed also at OSG this year, a 24.79 rating for Stephanie. Gemma Ferguson competed at UK's Strongest Woman, 24.79 rating, and she was in the open class there, the only class there. Sandra Wells is a light middleweight, I called it, so that's the new 73 kilo and below class at OSG this year, so she rates 25 out of 100. Alicia Donner, middleweight under 148, rates 25.33 from her USS Nationals competition this year. Andrea Andor, lightweight under 132 at that same contest, 25.85 rating for Andrea. Liz Thompson was a middleweight at Strongman Corp National, and Liz rates a 25.93. We then have Sinalanla Sitole from Africa. So this was Africa's Strongest Woman, and that happened like really close to the end of the year, so exciting that we got those results as well. 26.25 rating for her. Alex Valpando was a heavyweight under 181 pounds at USS Nationals, a 26.67 rating for Alex. Kathleen Kindon, super heavyweight above 232 pounds at USS Nationals, 26.67 rating for her. Same rating for Angela Highfield from her work at USS Nationals. And then you have Claire Stouffer, who was 27.16 competing at Strongman Corp Nationals this year as a middleweight. Next up on our list, we have Alex McKee, who competed middleweight at Savage Strength Challenge 4 and at the Strongman Corporation Nationals. She comes away with a 27.34 rating this year. Vina Neighbor is a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals this year, a 27.62 rating for Vina. Jessica Westrop was a super heavyweight under 242 pounds at USS Nationals, and that earned her a rating of 28 for the year. Scarlett Harvey competed open at Middle East Strongest Woman and has a 28.33 rating. Laura DeBert Romilly was in that 73 kilo class at OSG, a 28.57 rating for the year. Emily Anderson, a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 28.57 rating for Emily. Liana Yang, open at Strongman Corp, 28.57 rating for Liana. Erin Williams earned a 29.17 rating on the year, so she was at OSG. That's a great show if you haven't caught it. A lot of action to watch for sure. I didn't even make it through all of it yet. Christy Smith, a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 29.33 rating for Christy. Devin Humphreys, a middleweight under 148 at USS Nationals, 29.33 rating for Devin. Jennifer Bates was a middleweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 29.63 rating for Jennifer. Alicia Thompson was at Canada's Strongest Woman, which happened very recently, and a 30 rating for Alicia. Madeline Rawl, a middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, a 30.4 rating for Madeline. And then next up on our list, we have Rosemary Dillman, who competed at Strongman Corp Nationals as a middleweight and Mammoth Strength Challenge 5 in that combined middleweight heavyweight class that kind of benefited some and maybe not so much for others. A 30.4 for a rating for Rosemary. Leia Castonia was also at Mammoth Strength Challenge 5 last year and at Savage Strength 4 later in the year, so she comes away with a rating of 31 for 2021. Jane Nafour competed at Strongman Corp Nationals and OSG this year, a 31.08 rating for Jane. It would be great to get Jane on the show, actually. We'll see if we can make the time zones work sometime. Rebecca Strong, with the best last name in Strongman, perhaps, competed as a middleweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 31.36 rating for Rebecca. Naomi Hadley competed at OSG this year, open class, 31.58 for Naomi. Kira Medina, lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 31.81. And you may have noticed by this point that I have open, heavyweight class, middleweights, lightweights, all on the same list combined with each other. And I really wanted to do it that way, once again, to be able to show off everybody, to show the accomplishments of everybody, rather than what I did with the men's class, which in retrospect maybe wasn't the best way to do it, where I did only open world level men, so I didn't get to talk about exceptional strongmen like Nick Camby, for example, who would be at the top 5 of any combined list like this. So with the women, I really wanted to give everybody their due and kind of do it what I think is the right way, and that's why you see more of a pound for pound type of thing here, in terms of who did the best in the situations they were placed in, right? Like somebody like Kira Medina can't help that she's not a heavyweight and didn't beat heavyweights, right? She did what she did within the scenario she was placed in, so that's why you see what you see. Brittany Davis, a middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, was a rating of 32 on the year for Brittany. Stephanie Sirach was a heavyweight at Mammoth Strain Challenge 5, 32 rating for her. Jessie Niebuhr was at OSG later in the year, 32.89 for Jessie. Natasha Whitney at Savage Strength Challenge 4 as a heavyweight, rating of 33 for Natasha. Julia Mills was at UK's Strongest Woman. That was a great show if you haven't yet seen it yet. It's on YouTube. You should go check it out. 33.29 for Julia. Veronika Rulikova, light middleweight at Official Strongman Games, so 73 kilo and below weight class, 33.33 for Veronika. Samantha Gable was a middleweight at OSG, a 34.24 rating for Samantha. Taylor Woods, a light middleweight at OSG, 34.52 for Taylor. We then have Kitty Cross, who was at Strongman Corp Nationals, a 34.92 rating after adjustments with the multipliers for her. Again, national competitions get adjusted down a bit so we can equilibrate everybody to like a world level so they're all equal to each other. And they're more comparable. Jessica Fithen was at WUS Dubai this year, and Jessica's a great friend of the show, one of my first interviews as well, and one of my most fun interviews for sure. She's a sweetheart and had quite a lot of fun talking together. Jessica, unfortunately, was really sick at this show, and, not able to do anywhere near what her typical best would be, so we didn't get a chance to see the best of Jessica Fithen. So 35 rating there, but she'll get extra points later for the world record she set on the Mauser block overhead press in 2021. All right, Eloi Fournier, help me on this pronunciation. Let's see if I can get close. José de Levatua. Let me know how I did. 35 rating for her at Canada's Strongest Woman. Erin Stoney, as a lightweight at Mammoth, came away with a rating of 36 on the year. Julie Rader at OSG, as an open class competitor, 36.32. Then next up on our list, we have Christy Stefanik, who competed Masters at OSG and at USS Nationals, and she comes away with a 36.79 rating. Laurie McDougall as a lightweight at Official Strongman Games, 36.84. We then have Erin Anderson, who competed Masters lightweight at USS National, 37.33 rating for Erin. Madeline Garcia competed open at Strongman Corps Nationals and got a 37.46 rating for the year based on my blog's strongest algorithm. Christine Galvin, a light middleweight at OSG, 37.5 rating for Christine. Josie Meshling, a heavyweight at Mammoth Strain Challenge 5, a 37.5 rating for her. Lauren Guibert, lightweight under 132 pounds at USS Nationals, 37.54 rating. Victoria Day was a lightweight at Strongman Corps Nationals, 37.71. Janie James at 38.10, competing at OSG. Christy Brown at 38.48, competing at Strongman Corps Nationals as a lightweight. We then have next on the list Brittany Ariolo, who competed at OSG and at USS Nationals, first as a middleweight and then as a heavyweight, 38.57 for Brittany. Jessica Martinez comes away with 38.67, competing at Strongman Corps Nationals. Jamie Douglas competed there as well as a lightweight, 39.43 rating for her. Andreen Helgeson competed at OSG as a lightweight, a 39.47 rating for Andreen. Joelle Pesci was at the same show, also a lightweight, 39.74 for Joelle. Cassidy Williams was a lightweight under 132 at USS Nationals and breaks the 40-point barrier in the ratings. Lori Middlesworth was a super heavyweight at 2021 USS Nationals, so above 232 pounds, I believe that is. a rating of 40 for Lori as well. Jillian Funk rated 40.39 from her work at OSG this year as a lightweight. Alexandra Rose, a heavyweight at Savage Strain Challenge. She was 40.5 rating on the year. Lisa Coro, who I met through discussions about Mammoth Strain Challenge and predictions there, she was competing at Mammoth Strain Challenge also in a 40.89 rating there for Lisa. Megan Sereni, USS Nationals under 132 lightweight, 41.23 rating on the year for Megan. Next up on the list, we have Rachel Flugel, and she came away with a 41.24 rating competing at OSG and at USS Nationals as a super heavyweight. Kim Dirks competed at the Rainier Classic over on the west coast of the U.S., Washington State, I think it was, and comes away with a 42 rating there. Brenda Schubert, also with a 42 rating, competing at USS Nationals as a middleweight Masters. Carrie Ann Davis competed as a Masters at Official Strongman Games, and she has a 42.13 rating. Sanda Hager competed as a Masters in OSG as well, a 42.41 rating for her. Rebecca Houston, 42.86, competing at Strongman Core Nationals in the Open. Jenny Draper, 42.96 rating, competing in Strongman Core Nationals as a middleweight. And Katie Rogers, a great friend of the show. Katie was technically the second person I ever interviewed by 5 minutes. So Katie Rogers and Alila Worley were at the same restaurant being interviewed by me at the same time, and I interviewed Alila first and brought Katie in a few minutes later. So thankful to both of them. Christine Matthews was actually third that same night. So very, very thankful for all of them for giving me a chance and honing my interview skills, because they weren't that good back then, to be honest. So Katie Rogers, 43.08, competing in both at Mammoth Strain Challenge and Savage Strain Challenge in 2021. Jessica Putland, of rating of 43.12, competes at OSG and USS Nationals as a super heavyweight. Then we have Caitlin Hayes, who competed light middleweight at OSG and middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, 43.37 for Caitlin. Cynthia Martinez competed lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 43.81 rating. Ashley Sorensen, a 43.81 as well, competing at Strongman Core Nationals. Maribel Armendariz has a 44 rating, competing at USS Nationals in the Masters 50-plus age group. Next on our list, we have my first ever interview, who I'm so thankful for, Alila Worley, who competed at Strongman Core Nationals, Mammoth Strain Challenge, and Savage Strain Challenge for this year. She comes away with a 44.25 rating. Suzanne Shields competed middleweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 44.44 rating for her. Trissy Hawes, open at Strongman Core Nationals, 44.76. Elizabeth Nardoni, who I think is a Strongman Corp rep for Missouri, if I remember correctly. So what's up, Elizabeth? 44.8 rating for Elizabeth, competing at America's Strongest Woman. Maggie Catterlick competed middleweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 44.94 rating. And then next is Cherry Muchindu, who competed very recently at OSG and also at Africa's Strongest Woman, so rounded out the end of the year really nicely, 45.32 rating for Cherry. Moving on up the list, we have Bailey Desheen, who competed at Canada's Strongest Woman and also at Official Strongman Games. Her rating, 45.34 on the year. She competed open at Canada's because it was one class, and then light middleweight at OSG. Siobhan Holdridge competed lightweight at OSG, a 46.05 rating for Siobhan. Lyndon Reed, also the light middleweight class, 73 kilo class at OSG, 46.19 rating for Lyndon. Miranda DeMar competed lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, 46.29 rating for her. Megan Tomei was light middleweight at OSG and has a 46.43 rating. Crystal Kish competed heavyweight at Savage Strain Challenge, and she has a 46.5 rating on the year. Anna Vasuyik, middleweight at OSG, 46.67 rating for Anna. Evelyn Valdez competed middleweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 46.91 rating for Evelyn. Next up on the list, as we move on up, is Corey Butler, who was also a great interview on my show, such a sweetheart, and I'm a big fan, always love to watch her compete. Corey competed at America's Strongest Woman, WUS Dubai, and the Rainier Classic this year, and comes away with a 46.94 rating. Samantha McLean competed Masters at OSG, a 47.04 rating. Hannah Coldiron, who I think is a good friend of my buddy Andrew over at Kratos Strength Equipment, so what's up, Hannah, and what's up, Andrew. She competed at OSG as a lightweight, of 47.46 rating for Hannah. Kelly New, Masters at OSG, 47.92. Lacey Carr, heavyweight under 181 at USS Nationals, and she comes away with a 48 rating. Sue Taylor Franklin competed Masters at OSG and comes away with a 48.15 rating. A lot of women in the 40s here. Destiny Taylor, lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, 48.57. Carly Andrews, lightweight at Strongman Core, 48.76. Jordan Breach, light middleweight at OSG, 48.89. And then we have next on the list Holly McRae, who competed at OSG lightweight and at Canada's Strongest Woman in that single open class, so 49.05 for Holly McRae. Antonia Varecchia competed at OSG this year, 49.12 rating for Antonia. Christy Sene, who is Krispy Kremes on IG. If you haven't checked out her IG and her YouTube channel, you should. There's a lot of great informational content there for lifting and, you know, health in general. So definitely check out Krispy Kremes. And I think she's Christy Sene on YouTube, but definitely check her out. Middleweight Strongman Core Nationals, her rating 49.14 rating on the year. Haley Manipul competed at Mammoth Strength Challenge, Strongman Core Nationals, and I think she had probably at least 2 other shows that she won that I missed here. So sorry, Haley, your rating should actually be higher than this, probably considerably higher, but 49.17 for what I was able to find. Raquel Walters, lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, 49.52. And then next up on the list is Jennifer Lyle, who breaks the 50 rating barrier, and that's where I would say like ratings are very good, like 50 and above. So Strongman Core Nationals, she was at OSG, she was at America's Strongest Woman, and that's a 50.89 rating for Jennifer Lyle. Next up on the list as we work our way up, Monica Johnson, who's the first woman I saw deadlift 500 pounds on Instagram. Very, very impressive. She competed at ASW, at Rainier, at Savage Strength, and comes away with a 51.67 rating for Monica Johnson. She's exciting to watch. You should definitely check her out. Nadia Morrison competed lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, at OSG, and USS Nationals, and comes away with a 51.77 rating. So the numbers on the left of the screen are starting to get a little bit lower. We're working our way toward the top half of the list now, so getting there slowly but surely. Joanne Mulligan as a lightweight at America's Strongest Woman in OSG, comes away with a 51.84 rating. Cassandra Concepcion as a lightweight also ASW and OSG, 52.23 rating. Amanda Florentino competed at Savage Strength and comes away with a 52.5 rating. Samantha Koski Moffat, 52.5 rating for her, competing at Canada's Strongest Woman. And then we have Erin Walkled, who is a standout here in the U.S., a middleweight America's Strongest Woman competitor, an OSG competitor at the light middleweight 73 kilo class, 52.68 for Erin Walkled. We'll see where she ends up when we add in the placing bonuses later on in the calculation. Jenny Morgan masters lightweight at USS National, 53.33. And we'll try to go a little faster here. Jackie Oshevsky, OSG and Canada's Strongest Man, 53.4 on the year. We then have Shayna Valles, who competed at Strongman Core Nationals and USS Nationals, 54.37. Janet McGraw, 54.95, competing at OSG and USS Nationals. Adrian Snyder, 55.06, a middleweight at Strongman Core. Laura Anderson. So Laura Anderson, for those who don't know, is legendary, a legendary lightweight. She's always in the GOAT discussion. So people, when talking about the greatest lightweights of all time, typically talk about Laura Anderson, Christina Bangma, and Rhiannon Lovelace. So definitely keep your eye out and follow her if you're not yet. She's Scrawny Beast on Instagram. So she competed America's Strongest Woman and USS Nationals, a 55.51 rating for Laura Anderson. Carly Oliveira, who set a lightweight overhead axle press world record that was later beaten in the year, but she set it first, also competed at Savage Strength Challenge 4, and she comes away with a rating of 56 on the year. Kat Zemka, lightweight at Mammoth Strength Challenge 5, a rating of 56 on the year for Kat. Samantha Davis, 56.25, competing also at Mammoth Strength Challenge. And we have another Mammoth Strength Challenge competitor, also USS Nationals and OSG, and that's Megan Hogg. Megan Hogg ends up with a pretty good rating here, 56.3. We'll see where her placing bonuses add on to that and where her total ends up later on in our video. Ashley Butler, middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, a 56.8 rating. Danielle Levelin, middleweight under 165 at USS Nationals, a 56.8 rating as well. And then next up on our list is Kirsten Ostby, who comes away with a 57.12 rating competing at USS and Strongman Core Nationals. Rachel Greathead competed at OSG as a light middleweight, 57.3. Dawn Hall, 57.33, competing at USS Nationals. And hopefully you're seeing names you haven't seen before and have new, exciting strong women to follow, because that's kind of the main aim of this video, so I hope that's what's happening. Sam Taylor competed in that open class at UK's Strongest Woman, and Masters at OSG, 57.39 for Sam Taylor. Working our way up, our next competitor on the list is Christine Matthews, one of the best friends of the show. So the first night I ever did interviews, the third interview of my interviewing career in Strong Man, Strong Woman. And Christine is, I consider her a good friend. Christine is awesome. She's incredibly strong. And you see this right on the screen. She competed lightweight and heavyweight in the same year and got second place in that combined heavyweight division. So she typically competes lightweight, was supposed to be a middleweight at Mammoth. Middleweight and heavyweight got combined together, and she still got second place. So unbelievable for Christine Matthews. 58.15 rating for her. Jessica Garcia, lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, 58.29. Chloe Brennan, 58.42, competing at OSG as a lightweight. Rebecca Kumsty, who I first saw at UK Strongest Woman and was thoroughly impressed, and then saw in official Strongman games after that, 58.51 for Rebecca. You should follow her if you're not yet. That's a great follow. Sandra Bradley, one of the two women who were the first women to ever lift and walk with a Husafel stone, she and Leifa Ingalls. So she competed at OSG and WUS Dubai this year and comes away with a 58.57 rating. Sarah Hernandez, a Masters Heavyweight at USS National, 58.67 rating. Alexandra Castellanos, a middleweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, 58.77. Anna Haryapa, official Strongman Games as an open class, 60.35, so we're starting to get to some pretty high ratings now. Kendra Danzer was a middleweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 60.45, up 4.9 rating for Kendra. Crystal Stanzik, a lightweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 60.76 rating for Crystal. And then we have a competitor who was at WUS Dubai, the Rainier Classic, America's Strongest Woman, official Strongman Games, and that's Nadia Stour. She was very prolific this year, competing both as a middleweight and as an open competitor. A 61.21 rating for Nadia, but she's going to get bumped up quite a bit for her placings. WUS Dubai is the only contest she didn't place well in, and she had a bunch of records this year, so stay tuned all the way to the end of the video to see what her final tally will be. Jamie Shama was a middleweight at Strongman Core Nationals, a 61.23 rating. Anna Tapper, a heavyweight at Mammoth, 61.33 for Anna. Britta Maggard competed at America's Strongest Woman and OSG this year, a 61.48 open competitor rating for her. Jessica Thacker competed at Canada's Strongest Woman, and she comes away with a 61.5 rating. She did very well there, third place. She podiumed Canada's Strongest Woman. Carla Vermack competed at Africa's Strongest Woman, a 61.88 rating for her. Gabby Dixon, who I'm trying to get on the show, by the way, had really a stellar year. If you haven't caught her car walk at Official Strongman Games, you need to go find that. You need to pay officialstrongman.com their monthly fee and go watch it. It's worth it just to see that. It was unbelievable. It looked like they sped up the film. She was going so fast. So Gabby Dixon, 62.03 rating for the year after competing at OSG and Rainier. Katie Gutwald, another really interesting strong woman. She has her own meal prep company, which maybe I can convince her to do a collab with me sometime. I really would love to do that. And she's in prep already for the Arnolds coming up in March, so very exciting to see what Katie's going to do in 2022. In 2021, she rated 62.22, competing at Strongman Core Nationals. Amber Klein, who's known as Amber Strongman Klein on IG, another great follow, lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, 62.29 rating for Amber. Brendeli Theron, who just competed recently at Middle East Strongest Woman, a 62.33 rating for her. And then we have the great, legendary Andrea Thompson, who competed at World's Ultimate Strongman Dubai. She was 4th out of 8 there, and I believe that was her only contest, so that's why she's not higher on the list, although 62.5 still is a really great rating. But somebody of Andrea's legendary status, typically you would expect to be even higher, and that's only because other competitors had multiple competitions that you can kind of average to bump up there, and I'm sure, if she had competed more, her rating would be higher as well. Amanda Mondragon, Masters Heavyweight at USS National, 62.67 for Amanda. We then have another kind of burgeoning legend, Rhiannon Lovelace, and Rhiannon competed lightweight at OSG, which is really her weight class, and then competed open against a variety of different weight athletes at UK Strongest Woman, and still did pretty well there, a 62.75 rating for Rhiannon Lovelace. Abigail Deal competed middleweight at Official Strongman Games, a 63.03 rating for Abigail. Mary Christie competed Masters Lightweight at USS Nationals, a 64 rating for Mary Christie. Billy Bercume, Masters Heavyweight at USS Nationals, a 64 rating for her as well. And as we work our way up the list, we have Kira Rickson now. So Kira competed lightweight at Strongman Corp and at USS Nationals, a 64.11 rating for Kira. Our next competitor higher up on the list is Aisha Ullah, who I first saw at UK Strongest Woman. She also competed at OSG in the Masters class and dominated. She won the Masters class at OSG. So 64.29 for Aisha Ullah. Ashley Crawford competed middleweight at OSG, a 64.39 rating for her. Cassandra Moore, 64.69 from Strongman Corp Nationals as a middleweight. We then have Jessica Mitchell, who is, again, one of the best friends of the show. Jessica Mitchell competed a lot this year and won a lot this year. She had national records. She has multiple national titles all in the same year. And when you add all that together with her points earned out of points possible, which is 65.03 after the multiplier equilibration, you're going to see her very, very high on the final list. So, again, stay tuned to the end of this video so you can see where she lands. Jessica Mitchell. Oh, and if you want to follow her, by the way, she's not Jessica Mitchell on IG. She's Jessica Says Arg. She likes pirates. Samantha Pugh, middleweight under 148 at USS Nationals, a 65.33 rating. And we keep working our way up, and we can see on the left of the screen now we're down to 3 digits of rows, so we're starting to get toward the top of the list. Shannon Clifford was amazing at UK Strongest Woman. I remember saying, put her in her own weight class and she's going to dominate. And she ends up going to OSG and winning the lightweight weight class that included Rhiannon Lovelace in it. So an incredible finish for Shannon Clifford. 65.53 on the year for her. Haley Hendricks comes away with a 65.9 rating on the year. Strongman Corps Nationals as a lightweight. Eliza Snyder, a Masters middleweight at USS Nationals, 66 rating for her. Amy Navarro was a lightweight at Strongman Corp Nationals, and she comes away with a 66.29 rating. She was also at USS Nationals. Next up on our list, Jody Kennedy competed open at Rainier Classic and light middleweight at Official Strongman Games, a 66.9 rating for Jody. Leilani Brown competed open at Strongman Corps Nationals, a 67.62 rating. Tongue twister. Mary Colasanto, a 67.9 rating, competing at Strongman Corps Nationals. Paige Swa competed middleweight at USS Nationals under 148 pounds, 68 rating for her. Colleen Meredith, a 68.25 rating, competed at Strongman Corps Nationals. Jessica Rush, with a 68.61 rating, competed at OSG in the Masters class. And Gabby Bergholzer, who's been on my channel at least twice. Gabby's a sweetheart, an incredible competitor. Competed at Savage Strain Challenge 4, America's Strongest Woman, and the Record Breakers at Mammoth last year in January. Comes away with a very high 69.33 rating for Gabby Bergholzer. Reina Garcia, lightweight at Savage Strain Challenge, 70 rating for Reina. Sherry Zimmerman, a lightweight at USS Nationals, 70.15 rating for her. Pauline DePinto competed open at Strongman Corps Nationals, a 70.16 rating for Pauline. Jessica Helms, who was on my show very recently, you should check that interview out. That was a great one if you haven't seen it yet. Competed Strongman Corps Nationals in a 70.48 rating, so she breaks that 70 barrier, Jessica Helms. Kate Connolly, 71.23. She competed lightweight at OSG. Emma Pruitt competed lightweight at Strongman Corps Nationals and a 71.24 rating for her. Faith Totiana, 71.25 rating, competing at the very recent Africa's Strongest Woman. Kiki Burley Johnson, another good friend of the show. Kiki's a sweetheart who I met kind of through Donna Moore. They're good friends. She competed Masters at OSG, and I think she zeroed the log and then really blew it away on the car walk, so you should check that one out if you haven't yet. 71.67 rating for Kiki, a very, very high score. Jennifer Preenitz, Masters middleweight at USS Nationals, a 72 rating for Jennifer. Lucy Underdown, best known for, I'll give you a second to remember, first woman to deadlift 300 kilos. That's right. So Lucy is going to get extra bonus points for that record later on, but comes away with a 72.25 rating, a very high rating from her UK Strongest Woman competition. Melissa Peacock competed at WUS Dubai and has a couple of records as well from Clash on the Coast. So 72.5 rating for Melissa. And we're getting toward the top of the list. Camilla Fogagnolo, who some of you may not be aware of because she competes all the way on the other side of the world in Australia, but she wins just about everything she enters. So she competed lightweight at, I think it was called Compound Carnage. Sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, Camilla. And then she competed at Gold Coast Strongest Man and Woman. And then there was she and her partner Carl Sherry, who have both been on my show. You should check out that interview if you haven't yet. Put together, they hosted an event very recently that was a record challenge, and they set a whole bunch of new national and world records, weight class specific world records. So you should go, follow them both, Camilla Fogagnolo and Carl Sherry on IG, to get all the lowdown on what happened there. So she comes away with a 72.73 rating, only because they weren't international competitions. But look at all these hundreds; she wins everything. It's unbelievable. So, pound for pound, Camilla Fogagnolo is at the very top of the world, and I think you'll see that when we do our final list. Bobby Sundberg was light middleweight at Official Strongman Games, a 73.73 rating for her. Nancy Johnson, who's also been on my show very recently, you should check that one out as well. She was at Strongman Core Nationals and OSG. Very consistent. Nancy Johnson comes away with a 75.22 rating out of 100. Next up on our list, working our way toward the top, is Annabelle Chapman, who was prolific this year in how many contests she competed in, and very successful in her placings as well. So she was at OSG, she was at WUS Dubai, UK Strongest Woman, she won Britain's Strongest Woman basically on the plane ride back from WUS Dubai, like within less than 48 hours, I think. And I saw on WUS's IG that she's actually England's Strongest Woman this year as well. So she's going to get a whole bunch of extra bonus points. Not to mention she set a world record for axle overhead press this year as well. So Annabelle's going to end up very, very high on this list when we're all said and done, especially starting off with that kind of rating, 75.39. The great Donna Moore, who many consider the GOAT of Strong Woman, competed at UK Strongest Woman and WUS Dubai, comes away with a 76.46 rating. Samantha Beliveau competed in Canada's Strongest Woman. She and Maxime Boudreau are partners, and they were both on my channel once before. You should go check out. That was a great interview. That's the one where, well, I won't tell you what the surprise delivery was during the interview, so you can go find it on my channel and find out for yourself. But there was a surprise delivery in the middle of the interview that you'll enjoy. But she comes away with a 76.5 rating. And again, it was 95 before the multiplier because it's a national and not international competition. Not to say she wouldn't do just as well in international, but we got to make everything equal. Sean Hairston competed at Strongman Core Nationals, comes away with a 76.83 rating. Then we have Ekaterina Zaitseva, who comes away with a 77 rating, competing in Russia's Strongest Woman and Middle East Strongest Woman. Hannah Brock competed middleweight at OSG and comes away with a 78.48 rating, and we're in the home stretch here. Inez Carrasquillo, who was on my channel very recently as well. That was a real pleasure. I learned a ton from her. She competed at the Rainier Classic, coming second to Victoria Long, and at OSG, coming in tied for third with Annabelle Chapman, if I remember correctly. So an 80.19 rating for Inez, the first to break that 80 barrier. And again, it's only out of 100, so it's nearly perfect there. And I just mentioned Victoria Long, so here she is as well. She competed at America's Strongest Woman and won the Rainier Classic. 81 rating for Victoria, and again, it was a 95.56 before the multiplier, just because those weren't international competitions. But something tells me, based on past history where Victoria came second to Donna Moore at the Strongest Woman in the world, or World's Strongest Woman, and things like that, that if you put her in international competition, she would win them too. She just didn't compete at things like WUS, but I don't think that would be a problem based on her success. And then we have Rebecca Roberts, who comes away with an 82.09 rating. She was at UK Strongest Woman. She won OSG, and she has a bunch of national titles that we're going to add on at the end, so you'll see what her final rating is. Make sure to stay tuned so you can see that. Kelly Jones competed Masters at OSG and comes away with an 85.46 rating. And then we have Olga Lyschuk, who seems to win everything she competes in just about, comes away with an 85.88 rating. She competed at OSG, and she's out of the Ukraine, so between Olga, Alexei Novikov, and Pavlo Kordiaka, I got to get them on the channel and make the time zones work at some point to get people of that stature and that success rate on the show. Audience will learn a ton. And I think that leaves us with our one top of the top, cream of the crop, and that is Erin Murray. So Erin Murray comes away with a 93.49 percentage out of 100, which is improbable, but that's where she is. So that's how everybody stacked up from bottom to top of the list of 253 strong women that I tracked in terms of points earned out of points possible. That's step one. Now let's go over to the final list and see, after we add in the bonus points for all their placings in all these shows and any records they set, what the final list is. Alright, so starting off in 254th place, yes, you heard that right, and that's Heather Morgan. So Heather Morgan with a 0.8 total. And again, these are out of 100, but now when we add in these bonuses, it's possible to go over 100. Let's see if anybody does. Morgan Patterson, 253. Karen Santamaria, 252. 251 is Megan Dealey. 250 is Jillian Phillips. 249, Malin Anderson. 248, Amanda Schaefer. 247, Allison Thorne. 246, Miriam Rojas. 245, Sahani Gandhi. 244, Camila Padilla. 243, Morgan Quimby. 242, Kaylin Pro. 241 is Jessica Wong. 240 is Dee Payton. 239 is Jessica Puricelli. 238 is Brooke Sousa. 237 is Marie V. Barrios. And you can see these placing bonuses. So they get, we'll show you once again, if you don't remember from the beginning of the video, how we get those placing bonuses. So we go to placings data here, and you can see, for example, let's take Camilla Fogagnolo, who placed 1 out of 10. She would get 7 points there after the multiplier because it wasn't an international competition. So these placing points get added together with the points earned over points possible to give a total and take away the problem of somebody does one show and does really well and beats people who, like Alexei Novikov, who did well for lots of shows. So that's why that's in there. 236, Amanda McFarlane. 235 is Diana Kelly. 234, Michaela King. 233, Liz Castillo. 232 is Gemma Moore. 231, Christina Bangma. 230, Crystal Sorensen. 229, Tyra Humphreys. 228, Alexis Wetherell. 227 is Rachel Bennett. 226 is Stephanie Fimognati. 229 is Nicole Recchia. 2 Italian names together, look at that. 224, Kim Scott. 223 is Maria Krasinska. 222 is Amy Klickner. 221 is Teal Rounds. 220, Elaine Lanza. 219, Jules Mansfield. 218 is Jackie Hoyle. 217 is Olivia Dubray. 216 is Kristen Rain. 215, Becca Bishop. 214 is Rebecca Wyatt. 213 is Lauren Ryder. 212, Randy Yarber. 211, Julia Tomaszewski. 210 is Ashley Bryant. 209 is Catherine Powell. 208 is Topanga Morgan. 207, Heather Burgeon. 206 is Alicia Donner. 205 is Senalanla Sitole. 204 is Melanie Constantino. 202, Kathleen Kindon. And tied for 202 is Alex Vilpando. That's why there's no 203. 201 is Sandra Wells with a rating of 28. 200 is Gemma Ferguson. So now we get below the top 200. And for all of you strong women out there watching this, have you seen your name yet? If you haven't, keep your eyes peeled and let's see where you end up. Some of you actually DM'd me and reached out, so it seems like you're interested. So let's keep an eye out for you and maybe all your friends where they are. 199, Andrea Andor. 198 is Angela Highfield. 197 is Rebecca Simmons-Getman. 196 is Scarlett Harvey. 195, Shantae Thaxton. 194 is Jessica Westrope. 193, Deandra Flores. 192 is Stephanie Bisignano. 191, Katie Feely. 190 is Devin Humphreys. 189 is Alicia Thompson. 188, Laura DeBert Romilly. 187 is Madeline Rawl. 186 is Liz Thompson. 185, Leah Castonia. 184, Stephanie Sirac. 183 is Liana Yang. 182, Erin Williams. 181 is Natasha Whitney. 180 is Alex McKee. 179 is Claire Stauffer. 178 is Brittany Davis. 177, my buddy Aaron Stoney. 176 is Vina Neighbor. 175 is Julia Mills. 174, Naomi Hadley. 173, Erin Anderson. 172, Samantha Gable. 171 is Emily Anderson. 169 is José de la Batrie. Tied for 169 is Josie Meshling. 168 is Jennifer Bates. 167, Rosemary Dillman. 166 is Veronica Rilikova. 166 is Jessie Nieber. 164 is Christy Smith. 163 is Lauren Guibert. 162 is Taylor Woods. 161 is Rebecca Strong. 160 is Kitty Cross. 159, Lori Middlesworth. 158, Alexandra Rose. 157 is Brenda Schubert. 156 is Chiara Medina. 155 is Lori McDougall. 154, Brittany Ariola. 153 is Cassidy Williams. 152 is Lisa Coro. 151, Jillian Funk. 150, Jane Mafor. 149 is Maribel Armandadis. Number 148 is Christine Galvin. 147 is Megan Sereni. 146 is Christy Stefanik. 145 is Elizabeth Nardoni. 144, Kim Dirks. 143, Katie Rogers at 46.88. 142 is Jessica Fithen at an even 47, so you see her placing bonus there. She gets an extra 2 points and 10 points for her Mauser block overhead press world record that she set early in the year. Madeline Garcia, 141. Janie James is 140. 139, Julie Rader. 138, Andreen Helgeson. 137, Lacey Carr. 136 is Crystal Kish. 135, Victoria Day. 134, Siobhan Holdridge. 133 is Maggie Alt. 132, Anna Vyusk. 131 is Joelle Pesci. 130, Jessica Putland. 129 is Christy Brown. 128, Carrie Ann Davis. 127 is Caitlin Heish. 126 is Lauren Taylor. 125 is Sanda Hager. 124, Jessica Martinez. 123 is Amanda Florentino. 122, Rebecca Houston. 121 is Monica Johnson. 120 is Jenny Draper. 119 is Jenny Morgan, 2 Jennys in a row there. 118 is Jamie Douglas. 117, Rachel Flugel. 116, Ashley Sorensen. 115 is Kelly New. 114, Suzanne Shields. 113 is Cherry Machindu. 112, Megan Tomei. Ranked 111 is Trissy Hawes. 110, Maggie Katerlick. 109, Samantha Koski Moffat. 108, Lyndon Reed. 107, Kat Zemke. 106, Samantha Davis. 105 is Deanna Flores, who also had a world record in the lightweight overhead axle press. She beat Carly Oliveira's record, so that's why you see those 9 points there. 104, Samantha McLean. 103, Alila Worley, a great friend of the show, 60.25 rating, so she got 16 points in placing bonus to bump her up quite a bit. Hannah Coldiron is 102. 101 is Evelyn Valdez. And we go to our top 100 strong women of 2021. Here we go. Dawn Hall, Cynthia Martinez, Antonia Varecchia, Sue Taylor Franklin, Sarah Hernandez, Cassandra Concepcion, Danielle Levelin, Jordan Breach, Ashley Butler, Christy Sene at 91, 90 is Miranda DeMarc, 89 Carla Vermack, 88 Corey Butler, again, catch that interview if you haven't yet on my channel, that was a good one. 87 Brendali Theron, 86 is Jennifer Lyle, 85 Bailey DeSheen, 84 Mary Christie, 83 Janet McGraw, 82 Amanda Mondragon, 81 is Haley Manipul, and again, I think she should be a lot higher. I'm missing a few of her shows that I know she won. 80, Anna Tapper. 79 is Destiny Taylor. 78, Andrea Thompson. 77, Laura Anderson. 76 is Joanne Mulligan. 75, Jessica Thacker. 74, Carly Andrews. 73, Shayna Velez. 72 is Carly Oliveira, who had that same lightweight axle press world record before it was beaten later in the year. That's why you see those 9 points added. Holly McRae, 71. 70 is Elisa Snyder. 69, Jackie Oshevsky, who competed at Canada's Strongest Woman. 68, Billy Bercume. 67, Samantha Pugh. 66 is Raquel Walters. 65, Abigail Deal. 64, Adrienne Snyder. 63 is Erin Walclett. 62, Sandra Bradley at 70.57 total. So let's see if anybody can get over 100. 61, Rebecca Kumsty. 60 is Reina Garcia. Rachel Greathead is 59. Ashley Crawford, 58. And you can see how different competitors got different placing bonuses that vary in magnitude from each other, and that's because some of them placed higher more consistently than others. 57, Paige Swa. Anna Haryapa, 56. Chloe Brennan, 55. 54 is Alexandra Castellanos. 53 is Faith Toitiana. 52, Jennifer Preenitz. 51 is Sam Taylor. 50 is Kendra Danzer. Here's our top 50, ladies and gentlemen. 49, Britta Maggard. 48, Jamie Shama. 47, Jessica Garcia. 46 is Sherry Zimmerman. 45, Katie Gutwald. Great job, Katie, breaking that 80 barrier, 80.62 rating. So out of 253 competitors, 45 is really, really good. Can't wait to get Katie on the show. Megan Hogg bests it, though. 44th place for her, 81.3. Gabby Bergholzer, 43rd place, so bests that even further, 81.53. And Gabby gets her 9 points for her weight class-specific Mauser block world record that I think Nadia Stowers broke later in the year. Leilani Brown at 42. 41 is Crystal Stanzik. 40 is Gabby Dixon. 39, Jessica Rush. 38, Colleen Meredith. 37, Cassandra Moore. 36, Ekaterina Zaitseva. 35, Amber Klein. Great job, Amber. Very high up on the list. 34 is Aisha Ula, 84.84. Christine Matthews, Panda on Panda Small But Swole on Instagram. Check her out if you're not following her. That's a great follow. 33rd place out of 253 people. That's awesome, Christine. Awesome. 32 is Nadia Morrison. 31, Pauline DePinto. 30 is Kiki Burley Johnson coming through. Rhiannon Lovelace, who's been legendary for deadlift, but has shown she's strong in everything recently, so 29th place for Rhiannon Lovelace. And that's only because she competed open. If she competed in her weight class all the time, it'd be even higher. Mary Colasanto, 28th. 27, Kate Connolly.
26, Kirsten Ostby. 25, Hannah Brock. 24, Shannon Clifford, who I can't say enough good things about. I'm a big fan. Very close to that 90 barrier with 89.63. Haley Hendricks, 23rd. 22 is Jodie Kennedy, who does break that 90 barrier. Lucy Underdown is number 21. So here's our top 20 strong women of 2021. Samantha Bellevue, Sam Bellevue, who just competed at Canada's Strongest Woman. She'd be even higher, but she only did the one show that I'm aware of. She actually had a pretty bad injury partway through the year, and so happy to see that she's healed and doing so well, so that's awesome. 20th place for Sam Bellevue. 19 is Bobby Sundberg. 18, Sean Hairston. 17 is Donna Moore, and again, Donna would be very likely higher if she did more shows. The placing bonus would have accumulated more. But still, 93.66 is a very, very high rating for Donna Moore. She did well on the show she did. Victoria Long, 16. 15 is Melissa Peacock, who did great things and got bonus points for records that she set this year in overhead pressing. Jessica Helms, number 14. So Jessica did very, very well. And again, she was on my show very recently, so shout out to you, Jessica. This is incredible. 13 is Emma Pruitt. 12 is Kira Rickson. 11, Jamie Navarro. And here's our top 10 strong women of 2021. Let's see how it compares to the list you have in your head, or if you are an athlete and still haven't seen your name, let's see where you are on this list. Number 10, Kelly Jones with a 102.46. So our top 11 have broken the 100 barrier in the rating scale. Unbelievable. 9, Inez Carrasquillo. And Inez, I believe it's INES on your Instagram. All of the score sheets had a Z, so it's a copy and paste thing. I'm not meaning to slight you in any way, so sorry about that. 104.39, so she takes 9th place by a decent margin there. Gets a lot of placing bonuses. Olga Lioschuk from the Ukraine is 111.88, an incredible score for her, so 8th place for Olga. 7th is Erin Murray, who had the best points earned out of points possible, and when you add in all our placing bonuses, still stays very, very high on the list. Erin Murray, 7th place, the 7th best strong woman of 2021. Number 6, Nancy Johnson, who was also on my show. I'm very thankful for that. Nancy, incredible totals here. Gets almost 40 points in your placings because you placed so high in all of the things that you did. Edges out Erin Murray by just a couple of tenths there, so very close in 6th and 7th place. 5th place goes to Jessica Mitchell. So Jessica Mitchell was in 5th place and 3rd place, now back to 5th because I've been having to tweak my my algorithm to include more ladies and shows that I didn't include. So Jessica, you end up in 5th place, 5th in the world. So this is an international rating system. It's not just the U.S. Incredible. Jessica had the record bonus there are for her national record. She set 2 national records this year. She had national titles, got pro cards in 2 different federations. She just had an incredible year. Unbelievable for Jessica Mitchell. 4th place, Nadia Stower. So Nadia, as you can see, has all kinds of points under the records. She had 6 records. 1 was tying a record, so I didn't give her that one. I gave her the other 5, including both times she set the log record and then beat her own log record, so I gave her credit for both of those. Nadia Stowers comes away with 125.41 points. 4th place in the world, Nadia Stowers. What a year. 3rd place is Annabelle Chapman. So Annabelle Chapman comes away with 133.69. And as we get toward the top 5 here, they start to be separated by quite a bit more points. But Annabelle Chapman with 48.3 placing points because she did quite a lot of shows and placed very high, if not won all of them, right? So then she has her 10 points for her axle press overhead record as well. Annabelle just putting herself in a position to be really, really high on this list, no matter what math it's trying to do with her data. So Annabelle Chapman, congratulations for podiuming Best Strong Women, our top strong women of 2021. So that leaves 2 better. And number 2 is Camila Fogagnolo. So for those of you who have not seen Camila Fogagnolo compete because she's over in Australia or Tasmania more specifically, she wins everything she enters. So she did Arnold's last year and won it. The last time there was an Arnold's. I don't think there was one in 2020 for the ladies. But so she's been doing more national and regional type competitions recently, including hosting her own incredible competition. But look at the point differential here, 149.23. She set all kinds of records. So 62 points for record bonus, I think, is more than anybody else on the list. As you see, if you look up in my formula, it's 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. That means 5 national records, and then the other 3 10s are 3 world records in her weight class, which is lightweight, 64K and under. She actually competed Open in one of her competitions as well, and still won it. So unbelievable. Camilla wins everything she enters and sets records like crazy. So it's impossible, any way you slice the math, to keep her out of the top 2 here. So Camilla Fogagnolo, a good friend of the show. Can't wait to have you and Carl on again. He's also killing it on the men's side. But that's number 2. And that leaves us with the number 1 top strong woman of 2021. And if you've been watching and trying to do a process of elimination in your mind, maybe you know the name. And if you are the athlete, we've been DMing, you know the name. It's Becca Roberts. So Rebecca Roberts, 82.09 points earned out of Points Possible, gets all kinds of placing bonuses. 42.40 for winning OSG and doing so well in all of her competitions. She won Wales Strongest Woman as well, I believe. And then had, I think it was 4 national titles. So gets 32 points there and 156 rating for the top strong women of 2021, Rebecca Roberts. So again, your top 10 strong women internationally of 2021 are: number 1, Rebecca Roberts; 2, Camilla Fogagnolo; 3, Annabelle Chapman; 4, Nadia Stowers; 5, Jessica Mitchell; 6, Nancy Johnson; 7, Erin Murray; 8, Olga Lyuschuk; 9, Inez Carrasquillo; and 10, Kelly Jones. That's your top strong women of 2021. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth, detailed discussion that you won't find anywhere else. And of course, as always, until next time, ciao, homie.